Why Montressor from the Cask of Amontillado is a very cool guy. The short story The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe follows the story of a man named Montressor and his friend Fortunato. Fortunato was a wealthy man and a powerful man, and mistreated Montressor frequently. The opening of the story describes Fortunato as, in Montressor's opinion, being a quack in most forms of artistic expression or skill ranges of value, such as painting or gemmery, but respected when it came to his wine capabilities. Montressor had borne injury of Fortunato for far too long, so when insult was added, he swore to take him down. One evening during a carnival, they crossed paths, and Montressor happened to let it slip that he might have come into possession of some very expensive and highly sought-out wine called Amontillado, but wasn't sure if it was real Amontillado and if he'd been scammed or not. The very rich and powerful man, who was dressed as a jester for the carnival ironically, predictably demanded to see for himself and prove his wine-tasting abilities. He boasted about how much better he was while following Montressor down to his special little wine cellar but also familiar burial grounds without hesitation. Then Montressor's plan was sprung into action. After a while of venturing down into the catacombs, Fortunato began hacking an awful cough. Montressor was asking him about how terrible he sounds, and told him about the dangerous minerals seeping along the walls that could be making him sick, and how Fortunato was so important, and how it'd be a shame to lose him, and how he should turn back. No, the man wants his wine, so they take a sip of something off of Montressor's shelves to make haste toward the cask barrel of Amontillado, cheering to Fortunato's long life. Not conspicuous at all. They continue walking down the basement and past the many, many tombs until Fortunato asks about how big Montressor's family is. Montressor tells him about his long legacy and casually slips in a mention of his family crest. Fortunato fails to remember, and Montressor kindly reminds him of it being a giant golden foot crushing a snake that is biting the heel. The crest has the saying, "No one attacks me with impunity. Nobody wrongs me without consequence." They keep going on, and Fortunato takes another sip of the wine that they have with them, and then he goes, and Montressor is like, huh? So Fortunato tells him that he obviously wouldn't know because he isn't a part of Fortunato's secret cool kid club. When Montressor hints that he actually is, Fortunato asks for a sign that he is telling the truth, because this secret cool kid club is only for the most honest and trustworthy cool kids. Montressor shows Fortunato a small trowel shovel that he had in his pocket as a sign. These three events of them interacting only built trust and excitement within Fortunato. Total misplay. Now, definitely under the influence of that wine, Fortunato makes his way up to a slit in the wall, a small niche or crevice. When Montressor tells him that that is where he put the Amontillado, the dude dives headfirst into the darkness. Montressor follows him, and in Fortunato's haste of greed, he doesn't know Montressor is shackling him to the wall. Fortunato gets all mad and is like, dude, where's the Amontillado? But Montressor is casually moving aside a skeleton of one of his cousins or something to reveal his whole stash of plaster and stones. He then calmly lays each layer of brick with his favorite trowel while hearing the cries of Fortunato. Whenever Fortunato sounded real mad, Montressor would sit down and just enjoy the anguish and suffering of Fortunato. One last layer, he peeks through the now very small slit with a torch and asks, "You good, bro?" And when he only hears the tiny jingle of Fortunato's jester hat, he seals him up forever. That's what happens when you're a mean snake guy that bites the ankle of a giant golden man. The end of the story tells how Fortunato remained there for at least half a century, so it's safe to say that Montressor never got caught. He's just too cool, I guess. So not only did Montressor stand against a rich and powerful man who would have definitely have gotten him executed had he escaped, but he also did so completely under Fortunato's nose, without lying. If we look into the details of the story, Montressor never said that he 100% had Amontillado for Fortunato. Montressor never said that he 100% was a Mason. All he said was, yes, a Mason. The kick of it all is, Fortunato could actually have been a really chill guy. Either way, Montressor used only complete truths to act out a perfect homicide. A funny additional context to this short story is that it was partly inspired by a feud between Edgar Allan Poe and a fellow writer named Thomas Dunn English. Thomas had published some indirect insults to Mr. Poe, which leads us to believe that the character Fortunato is a response insult to Thomas, portraying Thomas as the foolish Fortunato.